Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
And I'm Scott Nichols.
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm pretty good. That's a heck of an intro you have.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I tried to go more calm, more like, welcome. This is Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod. But it just didn't, I don't know. I didn't feel like it was getting you off on the right, on the right path, the right foot,
Sure.
I'm like kind of a, hey, what's up? Kind of.
We need the shows to be exciting. So, we want to get the juices flowing right away.
Yeah.
I'm just impressed that we don't have to actually record that once and just insert it into the program, that you actually create that every single time.
Well,
and that's impressive.
Well, I have fun doing this, so it's not that hard to get too excited. It is enjoyable to get together here in the studio and talk about all kinds of fun stuff. As I don't know. I enjoy this, so it's not hard for me anyway to get excited about doing something that I think is a whole heck of a lot of fun.
Well, it is fun. It's a good time. So, we can talk about how much fun we have all day, but what do we have for people to listen to tonight?
Well, so I'm always worried about, am I eating healthy? And
are you always worried about that?
Well, okay, yeah. It's not that I act on it very well. I mean, okay, I have my vegetables that I bring for, eating for lunch. I throw in an apple and I make a lunch with, it's a sandwich, but it's a healthy meat cheese sandwich. So I try and do well, but yeah, I don't know that the Dr. Pepper helps, or, the supersonic breakfast burrito helps.
Or we all have our weaknesses, right?
Well, yeah, because I've been known to sneak a candy bar, though, I do the fun size at least. So it's not like the full size candy bar. But so I ran across this article because it had an interesting thing that I thought was, well, it was talking about how sugar can influence our mood.
Okay.
And for the most part, when you think about it, yeah, you take sugar because sugar is going to give you energy. It's going to hype you up. And if you think about it, in the morning, people are drawing around and slow. And you have something to, kick you in the butt to get you going. So you drink your coffee, you add your creamer, which includes sugar. And you say, I need my caffeine to give me that sugar rush, whatever it might be. So,
now, in fairness, I drink what I've learned is now called an Americano, which we used to just call black coffee. But now it's an Americano. So that's what I drink, which has no sugar in it.
Okay.
But I find that leaving the sugar out actually makes it taste better.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I've tried it. I've tried coffee. I've tried it straight. I've tried it with cream. I've tried it with sugar. I've tried it with cream and sugar. And it just tastes like crap to me. I can't get over the taste. I love the smell. I love the smell of coffee, the smell of cooking coffee beans or roasting coffee beans. But to actually drink it,
I enjoy it. But, I guess maybe it's an acquired taste. I'm not a huge beer drinker, so.
Well, fair enough.
I like the coffee.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with it. It has been getting up generations of people for generations.
So if I eat too much sugar,
okay,
this is a problem?
Well, okay, so this is a blog that I found by a guy by the name of Scott Anderson.
Good name.
Really?
The first name.
Well, Scott, yeah. You are a little biased, though.
I am.
Anyway, so this guy's name is Scott Anderson, and he's written a variety of books dealing with psychology and food, like how Mediterranean diet can help kids, or especially teenagers, fight depression, stuff like, again, dealing with our gut, with our food and mental health. And so he was talking about how sugar can, well, it can be a good thing because it gives us that sugar rush, but it could potentially lead to causing depression, making us feel sluggish, lethargic, unmotivated. And so I kind of did a little bit so I read through this and I thought, holy cow.
So my stomach has to do with my brain?
Yeah, at least that's how I'm understanding what his article is trying to say.
Kind of wish I had learned this when I was 19.
Well, long before I became...
or at least before I was 30.
Okay, fair enough. Because here's the thing. And in this article, he's talking about, okay, growing up, my mom made, everything was homemade. I was lucky enough that my mom was a stay-at-home mom.
Sure.
So we had a vegetable garden and we grew our own stuff. She canned, she made homemade breads. I mean, everything was pretty, well, today, I guess what you would call organic.
Yeah.
And so we grew up without a lot of sugar, without a lot of preservatives.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have the sugared cereals. Whatever the sugar was just added, either came naturally or just a pinch of sugar,
Sure.
But today, and this is where it kind of threw me for kind of like a surprise. They were talking about how much sugar is in literally everything.
Yes.
And it's not just breakfast cereals, but your spaghetti sauce. You get your Prego because it's in there. Well, so is sugar. Even sports drinks. They had all kinds of different stuff. I was watching an episode of CNN Student News with kids, and they were talking about how much sugar is in bread, how much sugar is added even in yogurt. They even commented that there's a variety of brands out there that there's so much added sugar that your yogurt should be considered a dessert, not a breakfast food. And so I'm going, dang. So, but they were talking about how that sugar, as you eat it, if you do it in moderation, like, everything, it's not so bad. It can help you out. But if you have too much, ta-da!
Well, you definitely need some sugar, right? It is an energy source, and your body can process it in appropriate amounts.
Yeah.
But as you know, I have type 2 diabetes, so
me too.
I have to have medication to help me process and deal with the sugar and get my pancreas, given the right amounts of insulin and all that kind of stuff. But that's from the issue of eating way too much sugary stuff for a long time. Oreos were my favorite for
double stuff?
years. Not so much double stuff, just double packages all at once.
No, I'm there. Yes.
All that good stuff that, when I was late teens or teens at all, and then, 20s through my 20s, a lot more active. And so maybe eating more sugar didn't really matter. But then you hit 30. I had 3 kids by the time I was 30. Things were slowing down, and I was maybe a little less active in the work that I was doing. And so you end up putting on weight quick.
Yeah.
And that ends up making you feel awful. And it's not about appearance, right? It's not so much about that. Of course, there's mental effects associated with that, but it's just about sluggishness. Like you feel like that sloth. What's that movie?
Sid the Sloth from
the guy that he's the DMV guy,
Oh no! Yes. Zootopia.
Yeah, Zootopia.
Yes, that's
super
a good one.
Slow.
Yes.
And he can't. He takes forever.
Is that why people at the DMV or any government office tend to be a little slower than average? They have too much sugar.
I think it's about motivation. But your motivation can be affected by the sugar, right? You have trouble sleeping at night, so then you don't want to get up in the morning, and then that might affect your job. And how you're doing there, and eventually it all comes down to affecting maybe your income. It's like this thing that just keeps rolling down the hill, right? And getting worse and worse.
And I think that's kind of what the Scott Anderson is trying to share, is that you need sugar. Your body needs certain amounts of sugar. so
Yeah.
that it can help, your stomach work. It breaks it down. And like you were just saying, but I think you're right. As a young person, I didn't give a crap what I ate.
Mm-hmm.
I ate what I wanted, when I wanted, as much as I wanted. I mean, if it was a buffet, it was I dare you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for me, I was pretty dang active, I guess, until about 40.
Yeah.
And once I hit 40, it was kind of like the body started falling apart. So I stopped exercising,
Mm-hmm.
and the size 34 went to a 36, which went to a 38, which went to a 40, which went all the way up to a 44. It was kind of like, dang, fat boy.
I'm right there with you.
And so when I'm reading this, I'm going, holy cow. I mean, and I was, and I understand, when you do get when you get that overweightness, it's hard to shake it off. It's hard to get rid of it. And again, that motivation, but they were talking about how it can lead to all kinds of, if you have too much sugar, not only is it a depressive issue, it's a physical issue
Mm-hmm.
that you can get, he's got a very fancy word, but basically it can help lead to all kinds of metabolic disorders of your stomach's inability, which I would imagine my type 2 diabetes would fit into this, but it can even lead to, he calls it colorectal cancer. I don't know exactly what that is, but it has the word cancer and rectal on it, and so it doesn't sound good.
You're looking at that's your colon, right? Nobody wants colon cancer. That's why when we're older, our age,
true,
you go get those colonoscopies.
Oh God, that was not
check
fun.
For that. But yeah, you definitely don't want to end up in a situation where you have a serious disease like that. And not that type 2 diabetes isn't serious, it is, and can lead to type 1 diabetes without you straightening it out. But, for all those people that don't have type 2, you can avoid it, right?
Yeah.
Just what he's saying is eat properly.
Well, and I thank you. And that, I'm trying to. And that's where I kind of wonder how much of our society, we are such a fast-paced society. We were talking about American culture in my class here the other day. And they were talking about, food is part of our culture. And I said, okay, but food's part of a lot of cultures. What makes ours different? What makes, what's special about American food and American culture? And it came down to fast food.
Right.
You can find a McDonald's, you can find a Kentucky Fried Chicken in other countries, but they're an American export.
Right.
And crying out loud, you drive anywhere, take a 5-mile stretch through any town, and how many fast food restaurants do you come across?
Yeah, a lot.
And so and then that got us talking about, how much time do we actually spend eating our meal? We eat a lot, sure. But are we taking time to slowly enjoy our meal? Because I'll tell you straight up, I don't.
No, I pick mine up at the window and eat it on the way home.
Yeah. Within 5 to 10 minutes, my food's all gone.
Exactly.
And so I'm wondering, too, how much of that plays into this kind of issue. Because again, drive-through fast food is filled with all kinds of crap, which I would imagine includes a lot of preservatives, a lot of sugar, that says, hi, how are ya? Yummy, yummy, but other,
Yeah, so when you grew up, it wasn't, and when I grew up, it wasn't the 50s, but if you think back to those earlier days before we, got using microwaves and picking up fast food and all those things, right? What did we do? We had a home-cooked meal from ingredients that were kind of singular.
Thank you, yes.
And we had that, and we sat down at a table, and you had a discussion with the family about how your day was while you ate. And so the discussion slows down the eating anyway, and you're not distracted by other things. And so you're working out maybe your stresses of the day at the same time that you're nourishing yourself at a pace that is much slower than what we would do today. So today you have DoorDash delivered to your house, and you sit on the couch
in front of the TV,
a television program, and you don't have any conscious knowledge of how fast you are eating that food. And you eat it at a rate that is so fast that you don't realize that you're not hungry anymore until after you've eaten that bag of chips and had those 3 sodas or whatever drink you're having. And then all of a sudden it hits you, I'm really full and I feel horrible.
And that's kind of where this Scott Anderson was going, is that these things can create a variety of problems. Again, it starts in our guts. In fact, he even quotes Hippocrates when he says that all disease starts in the gut.
Yeah.
And so what I really found interesting was not only does it help contribute to our type 2 diabetes,
right,
but he's talking about that most of the chronic diseases that people have start from the foods that we eat, including an overconsumption of sugar that include heart disease, dementia, arthritis, colon cancer, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's.
Wow.
As well as our type 2 diabetes. And I'm going, dang.
Yeah.
So
apparently food is important, and the kinds of things that we eat are important.
Well, and that's what he's saying, because the foods that we consume have an impact on pretty much every major organ in our body. So here's the thing, and this is something that my mom has started doing. She goes, and even I will, let's do the artificial. Forget the main sugar. Let's do artificial. I mean, I'm drinking diet Dr. Pepper instead of straight Dr. Pepper these days because got to worry about my girlish figure here. All right. So that's a good idea, right?
Well, maybe not.
Okay. Well, because they're saying
is artificial sugar better than regular? Because I've heard sometimes where it's not.
Well, I mean, the FDA has approved all kinds of artificial sweeteners. In fact, this article says that half of Americans consume artificial sweeteners in the foods that we eat.
Okay.
And that, you take the artificial sweeteners, that can help you lose weight, which can help lower your blood sugar levels, which can help you, avoid some of these other issues.
Right.
So good, right?
Okay, yeah, it sounds good.
Okay. Well, what this Anderson guy is saying is that it doesn't consider, when the FDA is looking at these artificial sweeteners, they're not looking at the microorganism level.
Okay.
And that it may not be as benign as what the FDA is trying to say.
Oh, so maybe it's not good.
Well, that's kind of what this article is saying. And I have heard that artificial sweeteners can have an impact on, your memory recall.
Okay. I don't remember that, but.
Well, and I don't know how accurate it is. I've got a buddy of mine that he swears by it. But that they're saying too that if you do it small little bits, okay. Again, moderation. But he was quoting a recent study that had discovered a correlation actually between artificial sugar and heart disease.
Oh, wow.
That the increased actually by 10%.
Wow.
Increase.
That's significant.
Well, that's kind of what I thought. And so then they were talking about how these artificial sweeteners, while, yeah, they can be positive on one side, can actually come back and bite you in the tail end on the other side because of this thing, again, dealing with the microbes in our gut.
Yeah.
And how they're not able to process them in large quantities the way they can actually process regular sugar.
Sure.
And so that it can create all kinds of. I mean, they're using words that I don't understand, Like gut bacteria. Well, okay, I get that part. I get gut bacteria. I don't
Okay.
know really what that means. When they're talking about this metabolic syndrome, I really don't understand what that is either, except that as they're describing it, that stuff like saccharin and sucralose can have a negative impact on the microbes that are naturally occurring in our stomach that help break down foods, in particular regular sugars.
Okay.
And it can actually it can raise your blood sugar levels so that it makes
Yes.
it harder to combat heart disease and type 2 diabetes.
So, I've done some non-empirical studies on myself on this, just kind of looking at, what I eat when I eat it. And I got myself one of those continuous glucose monitors.
Oh, yeah.
And it is fabulous for seeing the effects of the things that you're eating, right? And I had noticed that when I drink something like a Diet Dr. Pepper, which has an artificial sweetener,
yeah,
that my blood sugar increases. And, yet there's technically no sugar in it.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. And part of that's probably how the body responds to just having food in there. And, I guess your liver will release glucose as well. So, that's part of the process more than likely. But I just happen to notice that certain foods that I eat would raise my glucose levels higher than other foods. And so that leads me to attempt to adjust what I'm eating based on that. And sometimes it depends on the time of day as well. And I've had things like where doctors have told me, eat something before you go to bed. And I've had other articles that say don't eat something before you go to bed.
I've always been told that you don't eat after 8 p.m.
Right, but glucose levels adjust overnight. And mine would go down far enough that then they would just jump back up because your body wants to get up or whatever. And he said, well, if your glucose is dropping that much by 1 in the morning, like you want to eat something before you go to bed so that you can.
So you're telling me that a bowl of ice cream before bed would actually be a positive?
Well, it depends, right? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying in my situation, right? I use a continuous glucose monitor to look at that, and I've shared that information with my doctor. And my specific instance, it is beneficial. Now, I don't eat something super sugary. I'll eat something like, I happen to like Smart Fruit popcorn, which doesn't have a lot of sugar in it.
Okay.
And so it's something that my body can work on processing because you burn a lot of calories overnight.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get my sugar down so far that it jumps right back up. Like the liver starts pushing out glucose. And so what I've learned, all that said to say that what I've learned about this is that, your body and your gut and your mind and all this stuff is connected, and it is this scientific laboratory that you need to figure out what is going to make you feel the best, what is going to help you lose weight, what is going to help you get sleep, what is it that's going to help you, perform the best, and feel that way all the time, because you can get foods that make you feel really good. And you get energy and you're active and you do all those things, and you can get foods that make you feel like that Zootopia DMV worker.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have no motivation.
But that's why we eat sugar, which gives us both the positive and the negative.
Right. But sugar, it's like, so, you have a drink of wine that feels good. It's good for you. You drink a bottle of wine. You don't feel as good anymore.
No.
Especially the next day. And it wasn't good for you. Right. So everything in moderation, right?
Right. That's what, that was what I always said was great, about being a Catholic. Everything in moderation.
Right.
So, yay for the Catholic Church. All right. So here's the last thing that he's talking about. All right. And this is what really I kind of remember knowing, But to again see it in print on the article was kind of like a flashing neon light to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was talking about how sweeteners can actually trigger depression.
Okay.
And he was quoting some different stuff. And I don't know that I like to be associated with a mouse, but he was saying that sugar sweeteners have been in studies they've done with mice and humans, have contributed to people getting depression or suffering from some of the effects of depression. And because they're saying that, depression is tied, well, to quote exactly, depression is often a fellow traveler with this metabolic syndrome that they discussed, obesity, and diabetes.
Okay.
And I kind of can relate to that because as I did get heavier, I felt less motivation to go ride my bike, to go out and walk or exercise or do exercising type activities. I was just happier to sit on the couch and go, dang, I'm tired of feeling fat. Oh, I'm going to have a bag of chips and, mull that over while I watch TV.
Well, I mean, sitting there forgetting about it while you binge 9 years of Seinfeld is always, it feels good. And whatever you're eating while you're doing that you didn't even remember that you ate. Right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I totally get this. It is, it's like a spiraling effect, right? And, not only that, but it'll lead to things like lack of sleep, which don't help with depression either, right? And so, I mean, that's a major topic.
Well, and that's what, they were talking about, with this metabolic syndrome that he was describing about, that can come as a consequence in your stomach, can actually lead to what they identified as a neuroendocrine disorder, which in simplistic terms is our ability to process happiness in our brain, and which therefore involves, because it's, the hormones in our brains and all that kind of stuff. It lowers that release, which makes us feel less happy, which, can lead to stress, can lead to anxiety, can lead to depression. And then I don't know if this is a good thing to say out loud or not, but it also can have a negative impact on your sex life.
Oh, well, I mean, I think people are interested in that. I mean, not yours, but yeah, I mean, that's a big thing, right? What's interesting is that we have lots of fixes for these things, right? So when you're sitting down watching TV, eating all this stuff, you're getting commercials, or at least at my age, they've figured out that I'm my age watching these shows. And so I get these commercials that are like, oh, take this drug to, make you less hungry. Take this, to fix that ED problem that you have. Take this for your depression. Take this. And it's like we've come down to, rather than eat all the right foods in the first place and not have these metabolic issues, just go ahead and eat what you want, and then take a bunch of drugs too
to counter
the things that you've messed up.
And then you've got liver disease or all kinds of other stuff because our body is so. Well,
in our quest to make ourselves happy, we make ourselves miserable, and then we have to buy things that will
make us happy again.
Drugs to try to make us happy again, and they don't really work to that extent, right? Because we keep with our bad habit of the eating. It's sort of like money. You get you get a bunch of credit cards and you start using them, and then you got to pay them with your budget, and then you can't. Somewhere along the way, it doesn't work. So what do? You go get another credit card so that you have more
money,
cash available to you, but you really don't. You're just making the problem worse.
Right. Well, that's an interesting observation and comparison, because you're right. I will say that it might depend on the person.
Sure.
But I find that I am a depressive eater. And so when I feel happy, I actually eat less. When I'm feeling less happy, I will eat more, which makes me feel more depressed, which all of this kind of ties in, which I guess at the end of the day is why when this article popped up on my newsfeed, I'm going, I can relate.
Yeah, I am a stress eater.
Yeah.
When I'm stressed out, I just eat, and I don't even realize I'm doing it.
I think I'm the same way too.
And this Girl Scout cookie season isn't helping.
Ooh, I have been lucky to dodge them so far.
So, but yeah, I think this is an important topic, and I wonder if we can't discuss it some more.
Well, I'll see what I can find. We'll put you on the task to see what you can find, and we'll see what is a result.
Yeah, I think maybe we could revisit this in our next episode.
Okay. In the meantime, I'm feeling the need for a Snickers bar.
Okay.
So
I'm going to eat some carrots.
All right. Well, until next time then, I'm Rod.
I'm Scott.
See ya.
Bye-bye.